2 moons hung in the sky that night, cold and bright, watching everything from above. The alien village below them was silent, but the silence was not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that came before something cruel. And tonight, something cruel was happening to Lyra. Lyra stood outside her home, her hands shaking as she held a small cloth bag. It was the only thing she had left. Inside the house, she could still hear her husband Barren shouting. His angry voice echoed through the village like a storm. "You are barren!" He screamed. "Useless. A wife with no children is no wife at all." Lyra lowered her head. She had heard these words many times, but tonight they hit harder. She wanted to defend herself, to say it was not her fault, but she knew nothing she said would change him. He had already made up his mind. The door slammed open. Barren stepped out, his eyes full of hate. He pointed at her like she was dirt. "Leave," he said. "Tonight, now, you are no longer part of my house." Before Lyra could speak, he pushed her. She stumbled and fell to the ground. Her bag rolled away, scattering the few things she owned. The villagers watched, but no one came forward. No one spoke. They stood there with cold eyes, as if Lyra was a stain they didn't want to touch. She slowly picked up her bag, her hands trembling. Her voice was too weak to speak. She looked once more at the house she had lived in for years, but there was nothing left for her there. Not love, not safety, not a place to rest her heart. As she walked away, the village torches flickered behind her. The shadows stretched long, almost as if they were reaching for her, trying to pull her back into misery. But she kept walking. She didn't know where she would go. She had nowhere. No family, no friends, no future. Her feet carried her into the forest. The trees stood tall, their branches shaking in the cold night wind. The ground was rough. Her thin shoes were not made for long travel. Every step hurt, but she did not stop. She could not stop. She had to get as far away as possible, but the forest was not safe after dark. A strange sound came from behind her, a deep growl. Lyra froze. She knew that sound. The night beasts had come out. They hunted anything alone and weak. And tonight, she was both. She tried to walk faster, but the growl came again, louder this time. Her heart beat wildly. She began to run, but the ground was uneven. Her foot caught on a root, and she fell hard. Pain shot up her leg. The growl moved closer. Lyra pushed herself up and limped forward. She could hear branches breaking behind her. The beast was near. She could almost feel its hot breath. Her eyes filled with tears. Was this how her life would end? Thrown out by her husband and eaten by a creature of the night? Was this all she was worth? Just when she felt the beast getting closer, a bright light blasted through the trees. Lyra covered her eyes. The light was warm, strong, and human. A deep voice shouted, "Hey! Over here!" Footsteps approached, fast and heavy. Lyra tried to stand, but she fell again. She looked up and saw a tall human man running toward her, holding a flashlight in one hand and a stun rod in the other. Behind him, 4 small human children stood close together, their faces full of fear and curiosity. The man reached her first. His eyes widened when he saw the beast. "Stay behind me," he said firmly. Before Lyra could think, he stepped in front of her, raising the stun rod. The beast leaped forward, its teeth sharp and glowing in the moonlight, but the human man did not run. He did not scream. He did not leave her behind like her husband did. He stood strong. He struck the beast with the stun rod, sparks flying. The creature roared, stumbling back. The children gasped, but the man kept fighting. He moved quickly, bravely, as if protecting strangers was something he did every day. Finally, the beast turned and ran into the dark forest. The man lowered his weapon and turned toward Lyra. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Lyra tried to answer, but her voice broke. Tears rolled down her cheeks. No one had spoken to her with kindness for a long time. The man gently offered his hand. "My name is Ethan," he said. "These are my children. You're safe now." But before Lyra could take his hand, another deep growl came from behind the trees, louder. Heavier. Something much bigger was coming. The deep growl shook the night air again, louder than before. The trees behind them moved as if something heavy was pushing through them. Ethan quickly stepped closer to Lyra, placing himself between her and the danger. His children huddled together, eyes wide, clutching each other tightly. Lyra's breath trembled. She had only just escaped one nightmare, and now another was coming for her. She didn't understand why this human man was risking his life for her. He didn't even know her name. Ethan pointed his flashlight into the dark. "Kids, stay behind me. Do not move." The oldest child, Mia, held her younger siblings close. Even though she was scared, she tried to look brave. Her small voice whispered, "Dad, it's big." And it was. Heavy footsteps thudded against the ground, shaking the dirt. A pair of bright, hungry eyes appeared between the trees. Then the beast stepped out, a massive night stalker, twice the size of the first one. Lyra felt her heart freeze. Night stalkers hunted in pairs. She should have remembered that. She had put these humans in danger without meaning to. Ethan's jaw tightened, but he did not run. He lifted his stun rod again, even though he knew it wouldn't be enough for a creature this size. Still, he stood strong. "Get back!" He shouted at the beast. The night stalker growled, saliva dripping from its sharp teeth. It lowered its head, preparing to strike. Lyra suddenly grabbed a thick branch from the ground. She didn't know what she was doing. Instinct drove her. She stepped beside Ethan, shocking him. "You can't fight that," Ethan said quickly. "Get behind me." But Lyra shook her head. "You protected me. Now I protect your children." The beast charged. Ethan pushed Lyra aside just as the creature lunged. The ground erupted as the beast crashed into him. He rolled away, swinging the stun rod, hitting it on the jaw. Sparks flew, but the beast barely felt it. Mia screamed, "Dad!" Leo, the youngest child, hid his face in Lyra's arm, shaking hard. Ethan stood again, bruised but determined. He moved fast, dodging the creature's claws, hitting it whenever he could. The beast roared and turned toward the children. "No!" Lyra screamed. Her instincts exploded. She jumped in front of the children, holding the branch with both hands. When the beast swung its paw at her, she blocked it with all her strength. The force sent her flying backward, but she had saved the kids. Ethan saw it, and his anger turned into fire. He charged forward, hitting the beast again and again, shouting, "Stay away from them!" The creature snarled and turned toward Ethan, but before it could attack again, a loud blaster shot echoed. A bright streak of light flew through the air. The night stalker shrieked and fell to the ground. Dead, Lyra looked up, stunned. A human patrol ship hovered above the trees. 2 human rangers jumped down. One of them saluted Ethan. "Sir, we saw beast activity. Are you all right?" Ethan nodded, out of breath. "We're fine, thanks." The rangers inspected the area and confirmed there were no more creatures. Then they flew away into the night sky. Ethan turned back to Lyra. She was sitting on the ground, holding her arm in pain. Mia and the children rushed to her. "You saved us," Mia said, her eyes full of gratitude. Leo hugged Lyra tightly. "Don't leave, please." Lyra's throat tightened. No one had ever hugged her before, not with love. Ethan crouched beside her. "You didn't have to stand in front of my children." "But you did." Lyra lowered her eyes. "Your children. They were scared. Someone had to protect them." Ethan gently touched her injured arm. "You need help." "Let's get you home," Lyra blinked. "Home?" "My home," Ethan said with a small smile. It's not big. It's a little messy. But it's safe. Lyra didn't know how to answer. No one had ever offered her a home. No one had ever looked at her with kindness, especially not a stranger. She bowed her head. Why are you helping me? I am nothing. Ethan looked shocked, almost offended. Don't say that. You're a person. You're hurt. And you're alone. That's enough reason for me to help. The children nodded in agreement. Even little Leo squeezed her hand. Lyra felt something warm spreading inside her chest. Something she had not felt in years belonging. Ethan stood and offered his hand again. Come with us, he said softly. You're safe now. This time, Lyra finally took his hand, and together they walked toward the warm lights of Ethan's home, unaware that danger from her past would soon follow. Lyra had never walked beside humans before. Their footsteps were light, almost playful, even after danger. Ethan's children whispered to each other as they walked, glancing at Lyra with curious eyes. She kept her head low, unsure how to act around them. She had lived most of her life in silence, fear, and shame. This warmth felt strange, almost unreal. When they reached Ethan's home, Lyra paused. The small human house stood under glowing lamps. Flowers grew beside the path, and wind chimes made a soft, sweet sound in the breeze. It felt alive, unlike the cold stone homes of her village. Ethan pushed the door open. Come inside, he said with a gentle smile. Lyra hesitated, unsure if she deserved to enter such a warm place. But little Leo grabbed her hand and pulled. Come. It's okay, he said with bright eyes. Inside, the house was full of chaos, but happy chaos. Toys on the floor. Shoes in the hallway. Drawings taped on the walls. A half-built puzzle on the table. A faint smell of soup in the air. To Ethan, this was normal life. To Lyra, it felt like a dream. Mia quickly rushed to find a blanket. She wrapped it around Lyra's shoulders carefully. You're cold, she said softly. Lyra nodded. She didn't know how to speak to such kindness. No one had ever covered her with a blanket before. Ethan walked into the kitchen and returned with a warm bowl of food. Eat slowly, he said. Your body looks weak. Lyra stared at the bowl. Her own husband had often eaten first, leaving her scraps. And yet here, a stranger placed food in her hands as if she mattered. She tasted the soup. It was simple vegetables, broth, herbs, but warm and comforting. Her eyes almost filled with tears. The children sat around her, watching with innocent smiles. What's your name? Mia asked. Lyra took a moment to answer. Lyra. Mia repeated it softly. Lyra, that's a pretty name. Leo added, you can stay here. Daddy helps people. Ethan rubbed his forehead with a tired smile. Well, we try, the children giggled. For the first time in many years, Lyra felt the corners of her mouth lift. A tiny smile. She noticed a picture on the wall, a family photo. Ethan stood in the center, holding baby Leo, while the other 3 children hugged him tightly. No mother in the picture. She looked at Ethan. You raised them alone? He nodded. Their mother passed away years ago. Lyra lowered her eyes with sympathy. That must be hard. Ethan shrugged lightly. It is, but they're good kids. They make every struggle worth it. She admired him. A human who lost his wife, yet kept moving forward for his children. Strong, gentle, brave. As the children played, Ethan sat across from Lyra. He looked at her injured arm. We should clean that wound, he said. Lyra pulled her arm back instinctively. It's fine. Let me help, Ethan said softly. His voice had no force, only care. She slowly allowed him to take her arm. He cleaned the scratch with gentle hands. His touch was soft, respectful. So different from Barren's rough cruelty. She whispered, Why are you kind to me? Ethan looked puzzled. Because you need help. Anyone can see that. But you don't know me, she said. You don't know us either, he answered with a warm smile. But you stood in front of my children. That's enough. Lyra looked away, hiding the emotion rising in her chest. The night grew deeper. The children became sleepy, and Ethan tucked them into their beds. When he returned, he placed a small pillow and blanket on the couch. You can rest here tonight, he said. Tomorrow we'll see what you need. Lyra touched the soft fabric, unable to believe it. You trust me in your home? And nodded. Yes, you protected my children. I trust people who protect children. Those words hit her heart like a beam of light. In her village, she was worthless. Here, she was someone worth trusting. As she lay down, her mind drifted. She listened to the sound of laughter fading into sleepy breathing. She felt the warm blanket over her body. She breathed a sense she had never known safety. For the first time in years, she fell asleep without fear, but far away, in the alien village she had escaped. Barren was not quiet. He stood in front of the elders, shouting that his barren wife had dishonored him by running away, and the elders decided something dark. Lyra must be found. Lyra must be punished, and they would send warriors to bring her back. Ethan had given her a home, but danger was already on its way. Morning sunlight slowly filled the small human house. Soft golden rays touched the floor, the walls, and the sleeping children. Lyra opened her eyes, confused at first. She was used to waking on cold stone floors, not a warm couch with a soft blanket. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she heard the quiet sound of children laughing in the kitchen. She sat up quickly. Leo, the youngest, peeked around the corner. When he saw her awake, he ran to her with a bright smile. You slept, he announced proudly, as if he had done something magical. Lyra couldn't help but smile back. Yes, she whispered. I slept. It felt strange. Her body felt lighter. Her heart felt calmer, safe. She had forgotten what safety felt like. Ethan entered the room with a mug of warm herbal tea. His eyes were gentle, but his face showed the tiredness of a single father. Good morning, he said softly. How's your arm? Lyra looked at the bandage he had wrapped the night before. Better, she said. Thank you. You don't need to thank me, Ethan replied. Anyone would do the same. But Lyra knew that wasn't true. Her own people had watched her fall and cry and suffer, and none of them had helped her. Ethan might think he was doing something ordinary, but to her, his kindness was something rare and powerful. The children sat around the table eating breakfast. Mia pulled out a chair for Lyra. Sit with us, she said warmly. Lyra hesitated. Sharing a meal with a family felt too intimate, too personal, too loving. But the children insisted, and eventually she sat. Leo gave her a piece of bread from his own plate. For you, he said proudly. Lyra's heart tightened. She took it with shaking fingers. You are very kind. You're kind too, Leo replied simply, as if it was obvious. The morning passed in a gentle blur. Lyra helped the children clean the table. She swept the floor. She folded the blankets. She moved quietly, unsure if she was doing too little or too much. But every time she tried to step away, one of the children pulled her back into their world. It felt natural. Too natural. Later, when the children went outside to play, Lyra stepped behind the house and sat on a rock. The forest wind touched her hair. She looked out at the trees and whispered a truth she had never spoken aloud. I am scared. She didn't hear Ethan walk up behind her. Without saying a word, he sat beside her. Not too close. Not too far. Just enough to show he was there if she needed him. You've been through a lot, he said quietly. Lyra wrapped her arms around herself. My husband. He pushed me out. He called me Barren. He said I am useless to the clan. In my world, a woman with no children has no worth. Ethan's eyebrows pulled together in a deep, angry frown. That's cruel. It is our tradition, Lyra whispered. I accepted it for years. But when he threw me out, something inside me broke. I thought my life was over. She looked at Ethan. His expression was full of empathy, not pity. He said softly, a person's worth is not measured by their ability to bear children. It's measured by their heart, their strength, their kindness. Lyra stared at him, stunned. No one has ever said that to me. Ethan shook his head. Then no one said what you needed to hear. His words hit something deep inside her. Her eyes filled with tears, but she quickly looked away, embarrassed. Ethan gently placed a hand on her shoulder. You're safe here. No one will hurt you. Lyra nodded slowly. She wanted to believe that. She wanted to stay. She wanted the warmth of this house, the laughter of these children, the kindness of this human man. But her past was not gone that far away. In her old village, warriors were preparing to leave. They carried spears, chains, and law tablets. Under the command of the elders, they marched into the forest. Tracking her scent, they believed they were restoring order, but they were walking straight toward Ethan's land. Back at the house, the children came running. Lyra, come play with us. Mia called. Ethan stood and smiled. Go on. They like you. Lyra stood too, wiping her tears quickly. She followed the children, letting their laughter guide her. For a moment, just a moment, she felt like part of something real. She did not see the shadows moving at the edge of the forest. She did not hear the faint metallic clinking of alien armor. But danger was already there, watching quietly, waiting for nightfall. Night fell slowly over the forest, covering everything in deep blue shadows. Ethan's house glowed softly from the inside, warm and alive with children's voices. Lyra was helping Mia brush Leo's hair when a strange fear crawled up her spine. A cold wind touched the windows. Something outside didn't feel right. She walked to the back door and looked out into the darkness. The forest was too quiet. No insects. No birds. No rustling branches. It was the kind of silence that warned of danger. Ethan noticed her tense posture. Lyra, what's wrong? She didn't answer at first. Her eyes stayed fixed on the tree line. I feel something. Someone. Before Ethan could speak, a sharp whistle cut through the night. Ethan grabbed his stun rod instantly. Kids, stay behind me. Mia pulled Leo and her brothers close, her heart pounding. Out of the shadows, several tall figures stepped into the open. Their armor glowed with faint green lines. Their faces were hidden. Behind hard metal masks, Lyra's breath stopped. They were warriors from her village. They had come for her. The leader stepped forward and removed his helmet. Her husband. His eyes were cold, colder than the night air. He looked at Lyra as if she were something he had lost, something he owned. There you are, Barren said, his voice smooth with poison. Running away from your duties like a coward. Lyra's hands began to shake. Her heart pounded so hard she could hardly breathe. Ethan stepped in front of her without hesitation. You need to leave. Barren smirked. Human, you don't understand. She is my wife. My property. Ethan's grip tightened on his weapon. No, she's a person. And she's not going anywhere with you. Barren's eyes narrowed. You dare challenge me? I am a warrior of the clan. I don't care who you are, Ethan said. You hurt her. You threw her out. You don't get to take her back just because you feel like it. Barren laughed a sharp, cruel sound. You think I want her? The whole village already knows she is barren. But the elders ordered me to bring her back. She brought shame to our clan by leaving. Lyra stepped forward, her voice trembling but brave. I left because you made my life a prison. Barren snapped his head toward her. Silence. You speak when I allow you. Ethan moved again, blocking Varron's path. You don't give orders here. Varron studied Ethan with dark amusement. A single human father with 4 children. Living in a small house. You think you can protect her? He laughed again. Step aside before my warriors break you. Ethan didn't move. Not even a little. Behind Ethan, the children stood close to Lyra. Their small hands gripping her clothes. They were scared, but they trusted her. They wanted her safe. Varron noticed and sneered. Look at you, Lyra, hiding behind children, pathetic. Something inside Lyra snapped. Years of pain, humiliation, and silence finally broke through her fear. She stepped out from behind Ethan. I am not hiding, she said quietly. I am standing with people who treat me like a person. Varron's expression twisted in anger. You belong to me. No, she whispered. I do not. Ethan moved beside her, ready to fight. You hurt her. Varron looked at his warriors. Take her. The warriors stepped forward. Ethan raised his stun rod. Lyra grabbed a heavy wooden stick. The children ran inside the house, locking the door and screaming for help. The forest exploded into chaos. Warriors swung their staffs, glowing with electric charges. Ethan blocked one blow, then another, his muscles straining. Lyra swung her stick with surprising strength, knocking a warrior back. Varron charged toward her, fury in his eyes. You will obey me. Lyra stood her ground. I will never again. Varron raised his weapon, but Ethan slammed into him, knocking him to the ground. The fight was brutal. Varron was stronger and trained, but Ethan fought like a father protecting his own family. Every punch, every strike had meaning. Lyra fought beside him, refusing to be powerless again. Finally, Ethan knocked Varron's weapon from his hand and pinned him down. Varron gasped angrily. This isn't over. Ethan breathed hard. Yes, it is. The other warriors hesitated. They had never seen a human and a Barren woman fight together like this. Fight with heart, with courage, with unity. Lyra pointed her stick at them. Go back. Tell the elders I am not coming. The warriors helped Varron up. Bitter, furious, humiliated, he glared at her with burning hatred. You bring dishonor to our people. Lyra lifted her chin. I bring freedom to myself. Varron turned and walked away, defeated, but as the warriors disappeared into the darkness, Ethan looked at Lyra, breathing hard, his eyes full of concern. Are you okay? He asked. Lyra's eyes softened. I am. Because you stood with me. Ethan shook his head. No, Lyra, you stood for yourself. But both of them knew this wasn't the end. Varron would be back. The elders would not accept defeat, and the real battle was still coming. Night after the battle was heavy and silent. Ethan checked every window and locked every door. His hands were steady, but his eyes were filled with worry. Lyra sat on the couch, her mind replaying the fight again and again. The children stayed close to her, refusing to let her sit alone. Leo climbed into her lap and held her tightly. Don't go, he whispered. Lyra brushed his hair gently. I'm not going anywhere, little one. But deep inside, she wasn't sure. The elders would not stop. Varron would not stop. She didn't want this peaceful home to become dangerous because of her. Ethan sat down across from her after the children went to sleep. The room felt small and quiet. Lyra, he said softly. We need to talk. Her heart dropped. She thought he would say she had to leave, but Ethan continued, You're safe with us. I want you to know that. Lyra looked at him with wide, unsure eyes. But your home, your children, they are in danger because of me. Ethan shook his head. No, they came because of them, not because of you. You didn't choose to be hurt. You didn't choose to be thrown out. Lyra lowered her head. Still, I don't want to be the reason your children are scared. Ethan leaned forward, his voice steady but warm. Lyra, my children were scared. But they also saw how brave you were. You stood in front of them. You protected them without thinking of yourself. That means more to me than anything. Her breath shattered quietly. No one had ever valued her courage. No one had ever seen her as anything more than a failed wife. When she didn't speak, Ethan added gently, "We will handle whatever comes, together." The word together echoed in Lyra's heart like a soft drumbeat. She nodded slowly, tears filling her eyes, not from fear, but from belonging. The next morning, sunlight warmed the house again. The children woke early and filled the kitchen with noise, laughing, arguing over who would pour the cereal. Lyra stood by the stove, watching them with a soft smile. Mia walked over and hugged her waist. "Can you braid my hair today?" she asked. Lyra froze, surprised. "Me? Yes," Mia insisted. "You do it nicer than Dad." Lyra giggled, a sound she hadn't made in years. She prepared Mia's hair, fingers gentle, weaving the braid perfectly. Leo tugged her sleeve next. "Can you help me too? I want to look good." Ethan entered the kitchen and leaned against the doorway, watching the scene. The sight warmed him. Lyra, surrounded by his children, moving like she had always belonged there. He smiled. "You're good with them." Lyra looked down shyly. "They are very sweet. They adore you," Ethan said. Her chest tightened. She had always dreamed of being a mother, of caring for children, of being loved. But her past had destroyed those dreams, and yet, somehow in this messy, noisy, human home, she felt like she was living that dream again. Later that afternoon, Lyra and the children walked outside to the garden. Birds chirped. Wind brushed the grass. The children played tag, running in circles around her, laughing so loudly she couldn't help but laugh too. She spun slowly, watching them with awe. She had never seen such freedom, such joy. Then Mia ran to her and grabbed her hand. "Lyra, when you came, everything got better. Daddy smiles more now." Lyra blinked in surprise. "Does he?" Mia nodded. "And we smile more too. You make us feel safe." Safe, the word struck deep. Lyra, the woman once called barren and worthless, was now someone who made children feel safe. Before she could respond, she sensed someone watching. She turned quickly. Ethan stood a few steps away, smiling softly. "You look happy," he said. Lyra nodded. "I feel alive." He stepped closer. "You deserve that." Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them, soft, warm, full of meaning. Before either of them could say more, a sharp sound broke through the peace. A horn, a signal. Lyra's face turned pale. "It's the Elder's horn," she whispered. "They've come." Ethan's smile disappeared. His jaw tightened. He pulled his stun rod from his belt. "Get the kids inside," he said firmly. Lyra gathered the children instantly. Ethan stood in front of the house, staring at the dark forest. Figures stepped out, older, stronger, wearing ceremonial armor. The elders, not just warriors. This time, they were here for a judgment, a decision, and Lyra's future would change forever. The elders moved out of the forest with slow, heavy steps. Their tall staffs glowed with ancient patterns, symbols of authority older than Lyra's entire village. Behind them stood armored warriors, their faces stern and silent. This was not a simple search party. This was a formal judgment. Ethan stood in front of his home, his children hiding behind the doorway. Lyra stepped beside him, though fear shook her heart. She refused to hide this time. Not after everything she had found here. The lead elder, a tall woman with silver markings on her skin, raised her staff. "Lyra of Clan Varos," she called out, "you left your husband's home. You defied tradition. You have brought dishonor to our people." Lyra breathed shakily. "I left because I was suffering." "It does not matter," the elder replied coldly. You belong to your husband's house. You are bound by our law. Ethan stepped forward. She belongs to no one. She is a person with her own will. Murmurs rose among the warriors. An outsider, a human speaking against the elders, was unheard of. The elder looked at Ethan with narrowed eyes. Human male, this is not your matter. It became my matter, Ethan said steadily. The moment your warrior attacked my children. The moment you tried to drag her back to pain. Lyra looked at him, her eyes shining. She never knew someone could speak for her like this. Not as property. Not as a burden. But as someone worth fighting for. The elder's staff touched the ground with a loud thump. Your words are bold. But you do not understand our laws. A barren woman cannot choose her path. She must return. Lyra stepped forward before Ethan could answer. I will not return. Her voice was soft at first, but it grew stronger. Not to a home where I was treated like dust. Not to a man who saw me only as a tool. Not to a life where my worth depended on something I could not control. The elder's expression shifted slightly, surprised by her courage. Lyra continued. I found kindness here. I found safety. These children. They hugged me without asking if I could bear children. They laughed with me. They trusted me. They saw me as a person. She turned to Ethan. And he, her voice trembled. He protected me when I was nothing to my own people. Ethan looked at her with warm, steady eyes. The children peeked out from behind the door, their small faces filled with worry and love. The elder looked at the children, then back at Lyra. You stand with a human family? Lyra nodded. Yes, they chose me. And I choose them. Her words echoed through the clearing. The elder lifted her staff again. Our law does not allow, one of the younger warriors interrupted. Elder, the human fought for her like she mattered. Our own people left her to die. Is our tradition not meant to protect, not destroy? Another warrior stepped forward. Maybe the dishonor is not hers, but ours. The elder looked troubled. This was not the reaction she had expected. Lyra stood tall, her voice clear. I am not barren. I am not useless. I am more than what my husband called me. I am family now. I am a mother in my heart, even if not by birth. The children suddenly rushed out of the house and clung to her legs. Mia looked up at the elders bravely. She is our mother. Leo wiped his tears and said loudly, We love her. You can't take her. Ethan stepped beside them, resting a steady hand on Lyra's shoulder. I didn't choose her because she was weak. I chose her because she is strong. Silence filled the forest. Finally, the elder lowered her staff. Lyra, she said softly, if this is truly your choice, then we will not take you. Lyra gasped. Ethan let out a long breath. The children cheered and hugged her even tighter. The elder raised her voice so all warriors could hear. Let it be known. Lyra is no longer bound to her former clan. She has a new path. A new home. The warriors bowed their heads in respect. Even the ones who had come to capture her stepped back with solemn expressions. Barren burst out from behind the warriors, furious. She is my wife. No, the elder said firmly. She is not. Barren fell silent, shocked. The elder turned away. We leave now. And just like that, the elders and warriors disappeared back into the forest. Lyra stood frozen, unable to believe it. She was free. Truly free. Ethan stepped closer. Lyra, you're safe now. She looked up at him with tears of joy. I never thought someone would fight for me like this. Ethan smiled gently. I didn't fight alone. We fought together. The children hugged Lyra again, laughing through their tears. Their love surrounded her like warm sunlight. And in that moment, Lyra finally understood. She had not been rejected. She had been chosen. chosen by a man with a brave heart, chosen by 4 children with open arms, chosen by a family she didn't expect, but always needed. Together, they walked back inside the warm house. Closing the door on the dark forest behind them, a new life had begun.